You guys have microphones? And I will be sure.
Oh, okay. This thing is on. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Third Space Reading Room. My name is Mordecai Fargill. I'm the co-founder and chief creative officer of Third Space, and it is such a pleasure to have you all here gathered with us for today's Inner City Club of Cleveland Forum with the illustrious Robert P. Madison and Sandra Madison. Robert P. Madison here now. So it is truly an honor to share this space with you. Some of you may have noticed walking in that this building is called the Madison. And not by coincidence, I might add. Third Space has been a grateful steward of this building since 2018. And we come to work every day feeling inspired and motivated to continue the legacy of the incredible designer, visionary architect who brought this building to life. But we also feel like these four walls have so many stories to tell. And in fact, we created this project, the Chocolate City Cleveland Project, because we believe that it's critically important for us to not just celebrate Black history during February. You know, we're going to do that. I mean, we've had a very packed calendar of events and activities to honor our Black history, but really, we want to explore further what Cleveland's uniquely Black history is. And so we created Chocolate City Cleveland as a love letter, an unfolding love letter to the Glenville neighborhood, to the city of Cleveland, but also as a reflection and an archive of the best and brightest of the chocolate side of town. And so I am so excited to talk to two Chocolate City makers. And when you look at their biographies, you can see that the city of Cleveland has been indelibly marked by the creativity and the effort of these two individuals next to me. So without further ado, I think we should just get this thing going. What do y'all think? Yeah? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, So again, the Chocolate City Cleveland Project is a creative labor of love. These are the four components, and this project continues so. So we have the interactive map, the archive, the markers at some point, either physical or temporary markers, and the conversation. So this is one example of the component of Chocolate City Cleveland. Um, the map itself is attempting to recreate the vibes of the street scene. 105 was and continues to be one of the central arteries of our city. As you traverse East 105th Street, you are aware of the legacy of Black Cleveland as it unfolds. And 105 looks different today than it once did. And many people of my age, you know, I'm getting up there in age, I will have, but people younger than me uh, don't remember the glory days of 105, right? And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring this legacy back to life by honoring not just the history, but to make sure that we're preserving the stories, the memory of our elders, and inviting them to reflect with us on the good old days. So as we've been exploring this history, it's been very important for us to uh, really kind of try to depart from the traditional institutional history that we all are somewhat familiar with, right? There's an institutional history and then there's a vernacular history. We want to understand what is between the data points, what's between the facts and figures, right? And we want to understand what this history has felt like through the words and through the stories and the memories of our illustrious Chocolate City Cleveland Shakers. But today, we are going to feature two protagonists. And so it's really important as we think about the history of space that we center the individual in that story. And so we have with us Sandra Madison, who is the CEO and chairperson of Robert P. Madison International. Um, as you look at her bio, you can see that Sandra's work has really continued to transform the city of Cleveland. This list I had to kind of break up because it would be way too small for anyone to read, but I'll just list a few of them. The Downtown Hilton, the Cleveland Convention Center, Caribou House, Ahuja Medical Office Building, Greater Cleveland RTA, Euclid Corridor Helpline, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and the list goes on. I should say that yesterday, the Third Space Reading Room team had the pleasure of doing a pop-up at Caribou House last night. And it was because, Caribou's play, the Breakfast at the Bookstore was running. And so we figured, all right, we're a bookstore in Glenville. And we popped up at Caribou. And it just so happened that we were sitting in the Robert P. Madison, like right next to the Robert P. Madison box office, And so this story continues to intersperse. And we are so honored to be able to continue this legacy. The person that many of you are familiar with, Robert P. Madison, is in many rights a civil rights superhero. He is a decorated war veteran. He might even be considered by Miss Coretta Scott King as the one who got away. But he's a man, and I will actually begin to ask questions, so don't worry. He's a man whose work and life has spanned so many disciplines and so many dimensions. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, on behalf of Third Space Action Lab and behalf of the city of Cleveland, thank you, Mr. Madison. So I'm going to bounce around just a little bit because I have so many questions, and I do want to ensure that you all will have an opportunity to ask some questions as well. We had the opportunity, Mr. Madison and I had the opportunity to rack during the pandemic year or pandemic years, but our conversation happened in 2020. And I was just really interested in his story. And of course, I was I had the opportunity to ask him a whole bunch of questions, and our dear friend Brandon Peck captured the conversation. And so we wanted to share a couple of snippets to kind of guide our conversation.
and yours that I still moved to oneself in one of that.
You started.
Okay.
Harry, get done nothing. Okay, try now.
And she, people are employed at high field.
That's it.
Or so, what would happen? To find building that emotion and you. There was a, for people were very curious. At that time, black doctors were not permitted to practice in the office of other doctors. Yeah, they just no place. So what most of them did was they practiced in their homes. But the open office, which is right down the street, my doctor friend asked me to be designed after this specific rec room, stuff like that. And then I got this call about the doctors who were all over the place and had homes in their homes because nobody would hire it. Nobody would permit it. Spaces, there's also they will occupy right now. And they tried to begin asked me if I would resign the medical billing book. I was absolutely make it out. So I went to work on it. I think we took about 6 months to design it because this was nothing done. There was a pediatrician, obstetrician, a gynecologist, a surgeon, all the different disciplines. So I did a lot of research to find out exactly what they would need in these offices in order to make it first class. So when they were first time, this clear, black patients had a place they could go to and see not one, not two, not three, but 4 doctors. One place. And it really was a monumental difference. This building was really turning point, shall we say, or beginning point, to prove the doctors could practice, black doctors could practice. In first class facilities, we had everything. And they could design a building.
So, Ms. Madison, I wanted to ask you a question that I asked you when we sat down again in 2020. What was it like for you to come back to this space? After all these years, I mean, you came back in 2020, but this space looks very different than what it was originally intended to do. So, sorry. Any reflections on being here today?
Well, can you hear me? Everyone can hear me okay? Yeah. I am absolutely moved. I really am. I'm touched, deeply touched. It is gratifying to see so many people younger than I am. But it's just wonderful to be here. My niece, she said we're going to go to 105th Street. I said, fine. And I wasn't sure about the environment, what was going to happen, but you can't imagine that I'm so full right now. I see people who are younger than I am, who are younger than I am. Most of them. Anybody here 100 years old? I am. But it's difficult for me to say anything because I haven't been in this building in 35, 40, 50 years, something like that. And to see all these people, young people, yeah. I'm just terribly moved about it all, and I'm very grateful for your inviting me. I didn't, my niece, my niece. So we come into 150, that's a fine. But I'm so glad to see all of you. I'm thankful that we're still here. And I can tell you this, the building is no different than I designed it, but it is wonderful. It's huge. And thank you so very much, and I'm glad to be here. And I'll answer any question you want me to ask.
Please. So I'm curious, as you go down memory lane, down 105th Street, what did it feel like to be on the street here? Like when you started the first architectural office run by a Black licensed architect in the state of Ohio, uh, what was happening in Glenville?
Well, this is about 1954, something like that, about 60 or 70 years ago. Can you imagine that? That's a long time that I think about it now. But at that time, the whole Glenville area was still occupied primarily by white people.
Mm.
And Black people did not have much opportunity. But I had a chance to design a building on 100 in Mount Pleasant, which was the Mount Pleasant Medical Center. It won a design award for his creativity there. And then the people, 12 doctors, asked me to design this building here. It was somewhat difficult because across the street was a residential area. And I think that small building right there was here at that time. And we got a chance to design this building, which was the tallest building I'd ever designed at that time, 4 stories high. That was tall back when I was designing it. But we had a chance to do it, and as I look back at it now, I'm just almost overwhelmed with gratitude for those people who used it, those people who built it, and for those who are now using it again. I am very grateful to you for this. And I'm really overwhelmed by coming here today. I didn't expect all this, but to see this space being used as it is good. And I'm very happy about it.
Right on. You know, when people see your name, like they show up. That's one of the things they probably have gotten used to over the years. Sandra, I wanted to ask you actually, as a transplant to Cleveland, one, what is your impression of how Glenville has changed? And also, I'm curious, what did you bring with you from Baltimore besides an incredible accent?
What? Do I have an accent?
You kind of say, you.
It's an interesting question because in Baltimore, I was hoping to do the things that I'm doing here. So the whole reason I got into architecture is because I wanted to help people that look like me. I grew up in that. It was probably like the Princeton area where I called that. It was the worst area in Baltimore. And I said, I want to, if I can do anything, I'm going to do that. And it proved harder than I thought because there's so many barriers. You can't just go, get a developer and say, I want to design this in this area because it takes me. I was very naive. Let's put it that way. But I did. We did some things. I was able to work with a Black firm who had the same, thoughts and ideas that I did, that they wanted to build in undeserved areas. So I was able to build some housing there before I moved here. But when Robert called, my husband and I were like, okay, is this an opportunity? We had just bought a house. I've been married 3 years. We weren't looking to move at that time. But Robert called and said he needed an architect. So we thought overnight about it. We said, my son is 3. I said, we're going to move. It's probably the time to do it now. So we moved. And so my thought was, knowing Robert's history, learning Robert's history, I'm married to his nephew, I didn't know a lot about Robert. Or what I heard about it, because I had one lady who had moved from Cleveland, oh, your family is famous. I'm like, I said, no. But the media was not there, social media was not there. My nephew was very quiet, he didn't say a whole lot about it. And he was uncle, he's an architect, but he didn't say how hard his friend was and what they were doing. But so when we moved here, Robert was doing a lot of great things. So he was doing great things here, and always community conscious, which I was very happy to see. And I mean, as most, I don't know why I would be surprised anyway, but he was doing great things in the Black community as well as doing other great structures. So it was a natural fit to actually work here. I didn't know the whole history of Glenville. I didn't know the communities because I didn't grow up here. So I'm still learning a lot about that, the history. But I do know the areas that are unserved. I drive by them, I look at them, I see them, and know that they need a voice. And I also want to applaud you guys for doing the work that you guys do to get that voice.
So, yes, I think this is great. So, I'll just speak loud and project. I have described both of you as Black City Maker. Because again, the reach of your work throughout the city of Cleveland, but also throughout the world in the United States, is kind of coincided with this Black matter of the United States. And I won't go too far into that, but as a designer and as an architect, both of you, what do you feel is like the power that an architect and designer has to bring ideas to life? Yeah.
First of all, I think that being an architect is really a responsibility to understand the environment in which one lives and to try to design things that will create to the success of that environment. I can say that architects always have a client, and that client determines pretty much cost of the building or structure and what it should be like. I think I was quite fortunate because when I came along, there were no other architects in the state of Ohio who looked like me. We were not any color. And therefore, I had a chance to be a pioneer. And whatever I designed, people thought that was kind of interesting because this was a Black man designed this. Could it be? But that was yes it was. But that was what I had to do. But I think as I come to this building now, I'm really overwhelmed right now because it's been years since I've been in this space, and I've never seen this space like this. But it's good. We used it. And I think to see an environment where people can come and talk and listen and create is just wonderful. I'm grateful for that opportunity to be here. You want to say something?
No, okay, that's third space.
Well, can I ask a question then? I'm curious. Do you design as a Black architect? Like, maybe that question is a little awkward, but I understand that you are more than your identity, but at the same time, there is a certain cultural aesthetic that we're able to express as Black creators. So my direction to the team who set this space up was make it super Black and super colorful. Yeah. So I'm wondering, as technical designers, do you consider those things as well? Are you intentionally trying to design as a Black person? How does that question even land?
Well, I don't know, I'm Black, so I design as myself, from my aesthetic, but knowing also, a lot of times we have to know what our client likes. I mean, my design is one thing, you may like something else. So if I'm designing for you, I'm gonna ask you, what's your aesthetic? Then we'll put something that's something that you like, that we all, we come together, we like, that you like. But that's an interesting question. I mean, I'm a Black person. I don't know how to design white. I don't know what that means. Other than, I think hopefully we're all, as architects, should be designing for our client, no matter what color, no matter who they are, as people. And that's the respect. I mean, I love the decor here. I see African motif. I see, that's respect, and that's a beautiful thing. And really feel comfortable. I feel comfortable. People should feel comfortable. But what you want to add to that?
What was your question again?
Is it possible to design as a Black, to design in a Black way?
No, that's a good question. I've never thought about it that way before. When I started my practice in 1950, that was 70 years ago, you know that? It's a long time ago. Nobody had ever heard of a Black architect before in Cleveland. Therefore, I had no guide by which I should try to emulate. But I had decided that the only one thing to do was to become the best architect I could become. Therefore, I not only graduated from Western Reserve University, it wasn't the case at the time, it was Western Reserve. Right. That's a long time ago. And after graduating from Western Reserve, I went to Harvard. I studied at Harvard for a year, got a master's degree. There wasn't any question of whether you were Black or white or yellow or brown. You were an architect. You were a person at Harvard. And a few years later, I received a scholarship to study at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, France. And when I went to study in Paris, everybody asked me what color I was, they could see. But it was not any involvement in race at that time. So as far as I'm concerned, architecture is for people. No matter what they may look like, what they may do, they have certain basic opportunities to do things. And that was my involvement, and that was my purpose, so that you didn't design a building for colored people, or white people, or yellow people, brown people. You designed the building for humans, regardless of what they looked like, what they were. And I think that what we were trying to do was to elevate the response to space, no matter what they look like. And I'm delighted that we could say, after all of the study I had done, everyone wanted to do is design a building. It wasn't a Black building or white building or yellow building, it was for people. And I had come to conclude that people had certain responses, very much similar. They like to be warm in the wintertime and cold in the summer. That's humans, human beings. That was the thrust. What we were trying to do was to create an environment where human beings, no matter what they looked like or what they did, that was their objective. So that was what we tried to do.
So this is just another thing was saying, think of something is, we look at the Black Historic Museum, African American Museum in Washington D.C. on the mall. It speaks to our culture, right?
I would say
so. Again, so when you look at what the building is, what is it? what do you want it to display? It's a concept, what's the concept, what should it look like? It shouldn't look like just anything else in the law, it should speak, it should say exactly what it is. So that's an, so you gotta know what your client is, what you're building to. So you gotta look at all that when you design it as part of it, so.
Thank you. Well, I have a couple of examples of some work, maybe as a line check. Sandra, you would have been at Robert Koch Madison International by this time, by 1997. So, Mr. Madison, behind you is the Louis Stokes wing of the Cleveland Public Library. It's one of the most iconic of the forms that you've created. It doesn't get as much love as I think it probably deserves, but I'm wondering if there are things about this structure that feel really remarkable to you as you were conceptualizing this building. What were you thinking? What comes to mind as you see these images?
I suppose that first of all, I was just one of the architects. I was not the principal architect on the structure. I was the principal architect on the building, the existing building. But concerning this building, it was an opportunity to create a form. That form resulted in that kind of curve, which was not completely different from the eclectic building that was there before. This is what happened. So here we were talking about modernism, and the idea was to take the program and put it into form, and it became this. I remember talking to these people very much about it. It was that an opportunity not only to build a building that would be a library, but to create a form that would be you could be responding to. And I think there is the form that the building takes now is responsive. And people get a chance to say, oh, that's the library, we remember that because of what it looks like. I think most of architecture is trying to understand not only its present environment, but what will future generations regard it as with respect to solving a problem of creating a space for people to do things in. That was what we were trying to do.
So you all know, maybe you don't know, but architecture as a discipline is a little bit esoteric for most people. So I'm wondering if you could explain the difference between the principal architect and what RPM International role was.
Say it again, please.
What's the difference? Yeah.
Principal architect, so.
What?
Hard hosting was in principal. So
What do you call it? Hard hug? Okay. Well, first of all, back in those days and still now, architects were selected on the basis of that criteria, based on the selected on the basis of their portfolio. Holzman had years and years and years of experience, and we had not. But we had come a long way. My firm had come a long way to be able to say, we can meet you. So that they were the principal architect and created the space, and we were the architects who assisted, more or less. When they were gone, we were still here. So there were some questions we had to answer after they were gone, but we had to have a full understanding of what the structure was and what was going to be.
We did a lot of the renovation of the existing structure. So restoring the murals and the furniture and finishes, that was our part for the existing building and addition.
You know, I feel like that is a lot of under-acknowledged work. You know, like I don't think people would necessarily know that if didn't tell them. So, but what's so interesting for me as a Clevelander, and particularly a Chocolate City Clevelander, like I just say this is the Madison building, like part 300 or so of those models. So what about the?
What you had to say, windows, right? Color the windows.
This
Yeah.
the whole thing.
No, I mean that. The Stokes. You did say that with the color of emollients or something, one that yellow and you parts of both.
Yeah, well,
Master.
generally, there's always a client. And the client usually requests certain things. And Sandra was reminding me of the fact that there was a difficulty of my deciding what the color of the mullion should be in the window versus what the client should be. And I said, I'm the architect, I will do it this way. That's it.
Can you tell me about tell us about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is really, I think, a very exciting building. That was done by an architect out of New York. I am paid. And I am paid was a very classic, brilliant, one of the #1 architects in this world, I would say at one time. He was selected to design the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And as a result, there needed to be an architect in Cleveland that could talk about, I was registered, they were. So registration was important at that time for being an architect, and I am Pay's associate architect on that store, which meant they did the form, and we did the classic working drawing, etc. for that. But I am Pay was a creative architect. I like him very much. He was a very good designer. And I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame reflects what is rock and roll. I mean, rock and roll, what is that?
Like a rock and roll building.
So when the building was designed and built, what does it look like? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that was a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And at the time, rock and roll was just emerging as a sound, as a spirit that we use. And so I think the building reflects that to some extent. We were involved with the addition to the rock and roll, which was built about 100 years later, but we did that. IFA was a great guy to work with.
Didn't you know him before that?
Yeah, I met IFA back when it was AIA when I went to China with him.
Wow.
Yeah, long time. I'm old guy.
And it's designed to look like a Victrola, you know, they're all tiny little Victrolas.
Yeah.
Exactly, that was the design, it was a concept.
The one thing about this building is that there is a suspension because the way it's projected out there, I can't really, well, to do buildings like that, it related to rock and roll at that time was a kind of a reaching out to a different kind of a form of music. And so the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame represented in its daring. One thing which is very fun was that this projector coming out here. I remember this when I had praised it. It's going to be a dance hall. That's fun.
The fire hanging over the water.
I said, wait a minute. People gonna be jumping up and down there. And so he changed it, so we moved that to the other side of space, but we had a lot of fun doing it.
Sounds like it. This is chapter 2 on their early years, just as a reminder.
Owner was a civil engineer, he graduated from Howard University. First class of engineer is black, he graduated school. But he couldn't get a job in baseball, or absolutely. So he got a job teaching at the university, at Selma University in Selma, Alabama. And my father taught there exactly 7 years because Julian was born there. And then we moved to Liberty College in Columbia, South Carolina, with Canada. My dad decided he really wanted to practice engineering, not teach. Had a job in Washington, D.C. in the engineering department of the federal government. Great. But then depression. And the last to be hired, the first week, my dad was fired, he never got a job again. We don't have COVID. He didn't remember whatever. That house that was lost, he had food from there and stuff like that. I was taking care 1 minute, mother was working back at the center. One, you see, I went to school one, and it was raining. When I came back, school was evening, I found out that we had been back in those days, because they didn't, because everything you own was sad. Fortunate, the people knew where my living father, so come on, yeah, we went to somebody's house, we stay there for 3 years, 3 years. One thing my mother said that we gotta be good, we still gotta be good, to defend the law. Take care of it. So we came back to Cleveland. It was a wonderful experience, Cleveland, because everybody, right now, the corner of you, we had, doctor here, the lawyer here, and they got back over here, and garden collecting from all people. But we have an understanding that we were all segregated because we were covered. We respected them, they respected us, and got along good. And that was what it was back in those days. So the fact that it says, these 43rd, I won't forget that. That was the project.
Mr. Madison, you have certainly come a long way. And you've made the city of Cleveland very proud. I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit about growing up in Central. And what's so charming and interesting and inspiring to me is like the love for the dynamism of what it meant to grow up in Central. It can get reduced to this is just a place of poverty, it's segregation, it's Jim Crow in the north. But what you were describing is like such richness in community. So I'm just curious, like as you look back on your upbringing in Central, you remember the street name to a T. What do we need to know about what Central was like for you?
Is that noise coming from where?
You can switch them back.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
You asked me about growing up. Well, I think you heard that my father was in the first graduating class of Black engineers in the country, 1920 something. He graduated from Howard University as an engineer. Well, he figured the job was an engineer because we don't hire public engineers. So he got a job teaching. He taught at Selma University, at Trinity College in Columbia, South Carolina. Those schools that were teaching mathematics and physics. This was back in the 1900s. That's a long time. That's a century ago. You know, I'm a century old. You know that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Century. Imagine that. A century. Well, but what I really give a lot of thought to is the early days of trying to practice architecture. Even studying architecture, people said, well, what are you going to do? What? I said, I was an architect. Yeah, what? Architect? Well, that was my father had been an engineer, and he wasn't able to practice engineering very long. So yes, I wanted to become an architect. I was an architect from the time I was 7 years old. Yeah, that's all I ever knew. I did not know what an architect did back in those days, but I was going to be one. And therefore I graduated, but it was back in those days, you had the Great Depression, and I recall the other day we suffered like everybody else did. We didn't have, we lived in Maybe the project, we were evicted from a house one time because we couldn't pay the rent. Back in those days, you put your first furniture on the street. Everything you own is on the street, back in those days. But I came home from school one day and everything out there on the street and the rain was coming down. But you know what? I had a wonderful mother. Remember, we're gonna be some people said there were those who wanted to adopt us. I thought there were four of us. Me, Julius, Dan, and Bernard. And we were good students, all of us. But things were very rough. We were, back in those days, they didn't have the PBA and things like that, so that if you didn't pay the rent, you just got evicted, all your furniture was on the sidewalk when we came home from school. Well, I grew up in that kind of environment, and when I went to Garnet Patterson Junior High School, it was better there. But when I went to Howard University, I had a scholarship for the academics and for living, but I didn't have a scholarship to eat. So a couple of times I had difficulty eating, and I fainted one day in school. And the dean of the School of Architecture said, "Look, come on," and I worked in the dean's office for about a couple of years, just doing things because I was a good student, and they didn't want me to leave, but I didn't have any ways of getting it. So finally, I got a scholarship for food. So I could eat dinner for the third, fourth year, and then the war came along. And I was an ROTC cadet. I was an officer. I went to Hancock in South Carolina, and then from there we were recruited to go to fight in Europe. And so I landed in Italy in 1946 to fight the German troops, and I was there for 3 months. I went into the front line in September of 1946, I think it was, and I was wounded in action. I was wounded in action December the 26th, 1946. I was almost killed. Shrapnel had gone to my abdomen and my foot, but I was recruited, found, and they took me to headquarters, and I was patched up. I was there in the hospital for about 3 months back in those days. And then the war ended. They were sent me to Japan. We were supposed to go to Japan, but the war there ended. So I came back, 2 years. I was in Europe for 2 years because they couldn't send us all back to one time. At which time I learned how to speak Italian, and I learned how to go to the opera. 2 things I don't remember with my stay in Italy during that period. I'm sorry.
I might have been President Obama. Thank you for the signal to the voicemail.
Well, that was when I grew up, and I grew up in Cleveland. When I went to, it was funny though, when I was trying to study architecture, and they said at Western University, and they didn't want me to study architecture there, so they said we never had one, and I doubt we ever will. Well, I went home, put on my uniform, came back, and said, "Look, I'm here to study. I have pistol on."
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I was in school. I didn't think that man was true. I was away from everything else.
We got another clip for you. Your reflections on education and purpose.
What's the question?
Country that's that. You can imagine, legal architect, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, not just plumbing. We go home. But they have students out on the east side of Cleveland, students could apply and be admitted. At that time, there were 20 black students in my class, or 300 students. We only competed. We competed against white folks. And we took them on. when I graduated from high school tech, I got a scholarship to study at Harvard with it. Who was a black guy from Harvard, and I went to Harvard. And yeah, I was right, that's the way to get there. I've always felt that design springs from understanding the use of the building, aspiration of the building, and what you can make the building. That's what was survived. Jail. For that, people were coming, people were dying to get into jail. Not even, this is a fact. Absolute fact. And when the winter snows came, guys were breaking the law to get into the jail. It was beautiful. I had all kinds of, comfort rooms there and red rooms there and stuff like that. I had to twist the arm with the sheriff to do it, but you deal with me. You deal with me. I mean, they make me go to law, but there's still human beings. This tries to do something human rights. They're still there. It wasn't 7-9 it was, but I think what I'm saying is I think that as an architect, I think my responsibility is to try to create space in which human beings can benefit just by being in the space.
Well, in case you missed it, and apologies if the volume is so low. This clip starts out with Miss Madison describing going to school at East Technical High School here in Cleveland, and it ends with his reflection on a prison in Worcester, Ohio, which I understand now that Robert Madison International is no longer designed prisons, but in this prison in particular was designed so beautifully that brothers were trying to were maybe breaking the law to just to get in there. But in all sincerity and seriousness, I do believe that this is a testament to what you describe as your design philosophy. Like regardless of who the end user is, these buildings should be designed with intention, care, and humanity, or at least an acknowledgement of humanity. So I just wanted to see if you had any further reflections on that philosophy.
Well, that's interesting, but I think the thing that inspires me a lot is that I had a chance to go to Europe during the war. And then I went to Paris and to after the war. And I also got a chance to design the American embassy at Dakar, Senegal, West Africa. I think that during my opportunity to design buildings, I was very much involved in trying to find out more about human beings and how human beings reacted to space, what made them much more agreeable as human beings, and trying to understand the humanity of doing those. I think I'm grateful for that opportunity to have had a chance to do that. And I did some study. I had a classmate who was a psychologist. And as I got involved with psychology and philosophy in terms of the human experience in buildings. And we tried very hard to do that. Weren't always successful. We designed this building right here. This is the first time I've been in this building in about 30 years now.
Very well done.
But it's still here. Still doing okay. But no different than it was back in those days. So that's what I would say. Okay?
Yeah. Sandra, I wanted to ask you a question about your you could fill out.
I don't think I have a whole lot more to say. I mean, you do, this space is for people, and you have to have them in mind when you're designing. We're all people. What's gonna do? And also, what is the space being used for? You know, what are you trying, what kind of feeling or what kind of emotion you're trying to go with that space? Some of them have, well, we design a church, what does that mean? When someone walks in, what do you want them to feel? You want them to feel spiritual or something new. So you have to look at it that way. What kind of space, what is the space being used for? What kind of emotion do you want to get from that space? We walk into the museum of art, that great plaza, right? What do you feel? You feel like, wow, you know, you just feel this, the beauty and the just majesty of the space. And for me, I look at the structure. I walk in the space, I look at the structure. And I remember working in that, how that was designed, how that structure cantilevered over and just hits the top of that existing building because you couldn't put weight on it. So the structure itself is people don't notice, but it's a, I guess that's how it's marble. This is the way it just because you couldn't put weight on that existing building. So what do you want? How do you want people to feel when they walk in the space? You know, how tall should it be? How tall should the height, you know, the ceiling be? How wide should it be? How low should it be? Yeah, so.
I'd like this group to understand that we have a very famous reporter here, Steve Litt. He's recording every word I said. So I have to be very careful when I say.
Well, we have the privilege of not only occupying and stewarding this building that you designed, but looking out of our back window at Park. And the original designs are impressive in its ambition, wraps around East Boulevard. And I'm not this eloquent. I got that from Miss Madison. There's a thing they said in our interview. But I was wondering if you could reflect on Park Place of Park.
Well, first of all, Park Place was something very special. Number one, it overlooked the park, beautiful park. The avenue you built on was a famous place. And this was not low income housing, but it was middle income housing. And what we were trying to do was to design a building that could have about 125 units, I think is in it, but without the stigma that you get of little houses with all the same kind of windows in it. So it was kind of fun doing this building, which was like almost like a serpentine that reflected this road it was on. So it was joy to do that. The residents have not always been the best residents we've had, but they've been okay. So
this is the final chapter of the snippets.
Yeah, I have all this, which is. Burning out this grass and that tree. She walked. Was not in the back. Two different buildings left. But she was. My office still down there, too. 98 years old. First of all, whatever it is for that become reversed then. Be better. With that fortification, you can then begin to take over folks. But you know, I know where I'm, you know. And when anyone asks a question, you got to answer. But you got to feel with yourself that you're ready. You know it when you study, you've done everything you can, you've done all you can, then you go. You won't ever want into but at least you got the preparation. Yeah, think more.
So, Ms. Madison, you were responding to a question in this right before this clip for me, and I was asking, do you have any advice for me as the young leader. Now, like, I built this business with my partner, I was Jeanette over here, but we are trying to do so many things. And I had to ask you, like, what advice do you have for me to continue to like try to build a business as strong as Robert has? You have more to say about what the responsibility of leadership is.
That noise, where they coming
Just a little bit of feedback.
It's a very good question, and I was thinking the other day that I'm 100 years old. And, a year ago, I was thinking about when I was going skiing, things like that. And when I realized I'm 100 years old, I was looking backwards now. So I'm looking back what I did 25 years ago. But you know, I'm the oldest person in this room, I'm sure that. Anybody here over 100? No,
Not yet.
not one. No, I can say this, though, that life is fascinating. Life is good, no matter the circumstance. I remember when we grew up, we were in the projects, we lived in the projects because my father couldn't get a job because he was an engineer, they didn't hire black engineers back in those days, so he used to sell newspapers and cut grass. My father, civil engineer, graduate, cutting grass. And I saw a picture recently of him and me. I was like helping him cut grass, people lawn to make a beautiful house. The opportunities for a good life enormous. And I hope that I can inspire young people to take advantage of every opportunity of being better, because I'm a professional now. I'm a respected architect, but it wasn't easy. When I went to Harvard, they said, "Who ever heard of black architects?" Well, there were those who never heard of it, but because I had not done it. So when they were like, "Oh, what's going to happen here?" But I think the opportunities in America, and I've lived in Paris for a while, I lived in Rome and stuff like that. That's okay for those people who live in the French or Italian. But in America, which is such a tremendous opportunity for people to get together and live together. As I look at this audience, I'm gratified that we have all kinds of people here. And I think that's what America is really all about. And as I look back now upon life, I think about the opportunities that we've had, races getting together, religions, all of that in America. I've lived in Paris for a while, I lived in Rome, and I fought a war in Israel. So America and Cleveland is unbelievably wonderful. I guess we don't really realize how fortunate we are living here. But I've been all over, and I can tell you that living in America, living in Cleveland, has its tremendous advantages. First of all, and I want to say this, I'm glad to be here to meet you guys. I didn't know what was going to happen when you told me to come over here, but I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad to see all of you people here. Listen to what I have to say, whether it's be important or not, but listen. And I'm gratified with you. So thank you so much, and I enjoyed this session, and I hope we'll do it again. Okay?
You said President Obama calls. Well, Senator Obama, remember when he came to the office, he called you because he wanted to talk to you before he put his bid in to be president. Do you know what they call? I don't know what that call was like. Do you remember what they call was like when he called him? You know, right after he gave his speech, DNC speech,
Yeah.
which was powerful, which his trajectory went like that. And next thing I knew, he was walking through our office. I'm like, okay. He wanted to see Mr. Madison because they were both Harvard, alumni. And I, my husband had the photo. We actually got his autograph, but I was just too stunned to, you know, his head is walking. I'm like, whoa. But anyway, I thought I never asked you what that call was like, but he was in your office for a little while.
Was that?
Barack Obama, President Obama. Oh, which was Senator Obama back
Yeah. Mr. Barack Obama. He came by my office and, what'd you say? I forgot what it was now, but.
then. It was before he became president, so he was a senator, and he
Yeah.
wanted to ask you if you thought it was wise for him to become, put his bid in presidency.
I remember that, yeah.
What did you say? Did you tell him?
Go, boy.
So,
Yeah.
Story keeps unfolding. I did want to, as we close out here, this is my nickname for Robert P. Madison, just because, Robert P. Madison International, the Robert P. Madison School of Chocolate City building. As you can see, there is an illustrious roster of people who have come through your offices. Now we know that Barack Obama was also one of those people influenced by the illustrious Miss Madison here. Here's just a snapshot of some of the Chocolate City builders who have come through Robert P. Madison International. We have one fly brother standing at the back, Mr. August Fluker, but also I think you saw John May. Don May. If you have ever worked at Robert P. Madison International, can you just raise your hand? Wow. The constellation to grow, and after they leave, they continue to do enormously positive things for the future of the city, the present and the future. And so I just wanted to say thank you again. Your legacy continues and it continues to grow. I think that is the end of my question. I know we probably have overstayed our welcome with you. So do you have time for a few questions from the audience?
I was trying to push them you on.
Great.
I'm flattered to be here, and I'm grateful for having this opportunity to speak to these people. So thank you. I have any question you want to ask me?
Any questions?
Yeah.
My question is actually for Sandra. I was interested if you had an answer to Mordecai's last question. Since you are now the CEO of Robert P. Madison International, if you have any advice for young people, Mordecai and Evelyn, growing businesses, becoming leaders, especially as a Black
What was the question?
What's it like? If I had any advice for young, leaders. I'm still in that category. So, I would say, I think, talk for one, we just have to keep fighting. There's still difficult. It's probably different for everybody out there. Everybody's, trying to, get to a certain elevation or trying to get their business off the ground. You just keep fighting. There's no magic bullet. I don't think. We have to find, your way. And when there's a roadblock, because there's going to be roadblocks, you're just going to have to find a way to get around them, over them. But never give up. You have to just keep finding new ways to get to the goal that you want to get to. Sometimes that means adjusting your goal or finding a new goal, but just keep fighting. Don't stop. That's what we still do. We're 70 years next year, but so we'll probably have a save the date. We'll have something going on. Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for the next thing. All architects, I see my buddy over here, Dave Roebuck. So, yeah, there's a lot. You know, as architects, we keep fighting. For what, we compete.
What was the question?
I think you've already answered that.
Young people? You have to be very good and you have to extend yourself to the limits of your capabilities. When you do that, nothing will success.
Yeah, question.
So my question for you was about your inspiration. I think architects have an interesting thing as being artists, but then it needs to be functional. And so you mentioned with Park Place that your inspiration for that was the road, was MLK Drive and how the buildings followed the curve of the road. So I'm curious about your process when you get a new project. Where do you start, kind of function aside, how do you get inspired by art?
Well, we start by looking at where we are in terms of the patterns of streets around them, what is the neighborhood like, and then what happens, the forces of sun, the rain and stuff like that, so. And then who is the building for? And what is the intention? And you go through the whole analysis of what we're trying to do here. We finally arrive at a set of answers to questions we've asked ourselves. How high, how low, how thick, and get the best answer we can and put it together. Yes.
I agree with everything he said, and I just remember when I was in school, that's exactly what he said. You look around at what are the cues in the community. What's the building next door, what's the building to the side, behind, around, what type of street that is, whether it's a main highway, whether it's whatever it is. Also, city planner out there. Also, that helps you, I guess, gives you cues. I think for me, one of the hardest things was not having any cues. Then you could do anything you want. And then for me, that made it hard. I had so many things like, oh, I could do this. But you have cues, it helps to narrow down and it helps you focus on some of the things. But yeah, yes, and the location, where's the sun, where's north, south, east to west, where you want light to come in, whether you're on a hill, whether you're in flatland. You take the cues from their site, and then you talk with the people that you're building for.
Other questions?
I want to thank you all for coming. I have not had this much fun in 15 years.
Well, actually, I do have one final question. I promise. For today. Mr. Madison, you came up during a really iconic time. So you and some of your contemporaries, like the Stokes brothers, Reverend Otis Mullins, like y'all were rubbing shoulders, you were working together on various projects. Did you know that what you were doing was legendary?
What's what?
Was legendary. Did you feel like it was iconic when it was happening?
I don't think so. I think we said we're going to be the best that we can, and there was it was like accepting a challenge. The white community did not expect black people to become architects. As a matter of fact, whoever heard of a black architect was the famous phrase I got. But what I'm saying to all of you young people, you're younger than I am, it's out there. Go and get it. Do good. Be good. And extend yourself to your limits. When you do that, nothing but successful. You got, and you cannot cheat yourself on not being the best that you can be. That's what I gotta say.
That's a good one to end on. Thanks. Thank you all for coming out.
Yeah.
Has a food, some snacks in the back.
And we had a couple of announcements. Sorry, I'm taking the mic now. Take the mic now. We had an announcement. We had several artists in the building. I'm gonna walk over to one. She gonna live away from me, but I'm just gonna walk over and ask you to announce what you got going on here real soon.
My name is Mary McKinney, and I'm a member of the African American Quilt and Doll Guild. We are sponsoring our, I don't remember which number it is, but well, annual quilt show every year in May. I have a couple of flyers here. It will be at the Church of the Savior on Lee Road in Cleveland Heights, and soon a lot of people know where that is. And just want you to keep it in mind. We are gonna have some speakers, fashion show, vendors, and a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
If anybody knows where Praxis workshop is on Waterloo, we have some quilt hanging there now, and I have a few of my dolls there.
Another living legend who has some gorgeous, gorgeous work. It's Black History Month. We want India. We can be peacocks. That's my.
Well, we will be doing our giveaway quite shortly. If you have not submitted your ticket to get a giveaway for Carol House tickets, please do. But we also want to tell you about I'll come to the front. Yeah, I'll come to the front.
Tell them who you are.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is India Pierre Ingram, pronouns she, her. I'm the Chocolate City Cleveland project manager. I'm very excited to be here. This was wonderful. Thank you for being here. I also want to share our Black History Month events that we have for the rest of the month here. Next week's a really busy weekend for us. On Friday, we'll be having our monthly intergenerational lunch, which will be focused on Black Cleveland history. And it'll be right here in this room at 11:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. So we want you to come back out for that. And then on Saturday, we will be partnering with the Young Latino Network for Afro-Latina nights called In Our Sala. So please join us. That'll be at 7 p.m. opening with a 7:45 p.m. show. It's pay what you can. And there's more information on our website. Yeah.
And we plan space.
Oh yeah, but that's an invite. So if you want to hear more about that, connect with someone at Third Space.
Okay, so they be being a little bashful. Anybody here play spades? Couple of y'all, don't be bashful, because you can't be my partner if you bashful. Does anybody play bid whist? No? These Clevelanders think they know how to play bid whist. They think they're champs. Anyway, if you're a card player and you want to be on an invite-only list of real card players, let us know. And if you want to partner with me, you got to.
See, we do
There
that.
you go. You gonna be my partner?
Pinochle.
Oh, see, I didn't know how to, my teach me how to play that. Peanut. Oh, no, okay.
That went to the,
Any other announcements?
we do the jar.
It's fine. And then come get some food and hang out. Ready?
Oh yes, this Sunday, Literary Cleveland will be right back in the space for the Toni Morrison event, which will be celebrating her birthday. It's a yearly event that's been happening for a few years. So again, register on the Literary Cleveland website and join us on Sunday. Thank you so much. You too.
And Melanin Market got so much more.
Oh, there's also a melanin market. Do you have more information about that, Celia? You can. It's at the Madison, which is not this Madison building, but the event center, the Madison. It'll be the Melanin Market. So, support Black-owned businesses. We'll have a pop-up in that space as well. So you can purchase from here or there.
Oh, in the city, anybody seen the art exhibit at City Hall? Yes, gorgeous, right? If you haven't, go bug the mayor, but check out the art exhibit at City Hall. I think somebody's son is one of the artists featured there. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, come on, y'all.
There is a talk at the City Club this upcoming Friday for Cleveland, the Reforested City. Samira Malone, she is on that forum, so come out and support. Yeah, tickets online, City Club, with the forms, February 23rd.
Can you say real quick who Sandra is? I think it's important.
Okay, she is my best friend, but that's like half of it. But like, I just wanted to get a disclaimer before I do what I do. She is, excuse me, she is a bomb. She's the ED of the Cleveland Tree Coalition. She is an advocate for tree life. She's an advocate for the city of Cleveland. She is a fantastic person. I tell her all the time that she's blessed by Mother Nature because of the work that she does for trees, for the Black people in the city of Cleveland. So yeah, come out.
That was a great intro. Can you do that for me?
Well, we're gonna do the drawing now, so if we could just have some tickets out, Mordecai.
Dion?
All right.
Hey,
I'll make sure to connect with me again.
is this Teresa Avery?
Yes.
Clara Thomas?
Okay.
M. Pinkney.
All right.
That's it, okay.
All set. Well, everyone, thank you again for joining us. Feel free to again grab food, drinks, hang out, explore the space, connect with someone new. Thank you for joining us.
Good job.
And Evelyn and Renee, I'll go grab Evelyn.
India?
Don't run away.
Aren't we gonna stay? Oh, yeah.
Smells like lucky gap. Oh, okay. I won't share that. It's all you. Hey. Send me a okay, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Dave. You go right up here. You know, yeah.
Let me grab my phone. I will confirm.
But check your spam box.
Yeah. I just want to say. Yes, yes, yes. Your support and I read that it's so that's my life and so I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. And I'm interested, you know, when I was so yes, yes, I was like, yes, yes. So what my daughter actually getting some more, but yeah, he sent me a message. I was that all of them are alignment, all very all yes. They are. Yeah. I have email, and so what happened later. But that's all I can do. And then should the person suggest engagement for engagement. That's stuff like how my audience for our audience today. Students can be a part of that. They still make a part of that. Interested. Yeah, everything Tracy has a lot of like not straight up things. But I've seen how busy it And that's my house.
Thank you for the program.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you.
I felt a lot of power when you were talking this. He was really architect in the building, in the place, and the years that have gone by, there's a lot of potency with it.
You got that right. Thank you. Good to see you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, we're in that night time. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll be. You ready? Yeah. Thank you. It's not me. I'm with you. Yeah. That's a long time ago. Oh.
So I would say.
Let me ask you a question. Those houses, every single family houses. Big houses. Back in the day, look how big they are. Yeah. Third floor, third. Yeah. Wow.
Everybody's.
I know.
Let's have a right there. No need to get up on top. Yeah. Okay. Maybe to do everything you said. Of course. Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, if there's an opportunity for me to get pictures that have time. Okay. So we can do that. Okay. Yeah. Oh, here. Where's the beret?
Always ready to go.
I've talked to them.
That's why I wear it.
And this
Yes, for tomorrow. Okay.
It was disappointing. You guys, we got it.
Good seeing you, kid. Let's go outside again.
I wanna rush this door to this.
It's so funky.
Thank you.